Hello guys and welcome to the fourth episode of From Tutorial Island to a Bond. In this series I created a fresh account and I'm going to get a bond in free-to-play. So if you haven't seen the videos before this, go ahead and check them. This video will be all about magic training in free-to-play and how you can make profit with magic in free-to-play. So first of all, let's go over the best magic gear in free-to-play. So you want to have your wizard hat and black robe, or I think it's blue wizard robe. And then you want to have the Zamorak robe bottom, magic amulet and a fire staff most likely. But all of the staffs give the same stats. There is no magic bonus giving shields, boots, gloves or capes in free-to-play, so you don't have to have any items in those. The anti-fire shield is a nice shield, but it's not very good. So if you cannot use it, you don't have to. So I trained magic pretty much all the way to 56 magic at the ogresses. And the levels from 1 to 31 took me 1 hour and 10 minutes. And from 32 to 35 magic I got from questing and killing the quest monsters in free-to-play. And you can see the second video if you want to know more about that. And to be honest, you shouldn't do the ogresses before getting 13 magic for fire strike. And even before like 30 magic it's not very good. But before 13 magic you cannot hit them at all, so it's the same as splashing until that level. And levels 36 to 44 magic took me around 2 hours and I actually made 30,000 GP profit per hour. And that profit is after spending money on the runes. And 45 to 56 magic took me around 8 hours. When I was doing the 2 hours from 36 to 44, my average was 1125 casts an hour. And that was when I had a world to myself, so I had 2 ogresses, so I could cast pretty much all the time. 1200 casts is the maximum you can do. So if you're splashing, you should be doing around 1200 casts an hour. So I think 1125 casts is pretty nice. And if you're AFKing pretty hard, I think you can do like 800 to 900 casts pretty nicely. And if you only have 1 ogress to yourself, then it's probably around 800 also. So in around 8 hours I casted 8.6 thousand fire strikes, and I bought those runes from the magic shop because it takes a long time to buy them in the GE, but I think you can buy them a little bit cheaper from the GE compared to the magic shop, but it depends how in hurry you are. It's very fast to buy them from the magic shop, so that's what I did. So from these levels the profit was 281,000 GP after the rune costs. And that is 36.6 thousand GP per hour profit. So I think that's pretty nice. And I think you get around like 20,000 magic XP per hour, which is also kind of decent. But after like 55 magic for the high alch, you probably should do magic training with high alching or telegrabbing or something. But if you like killing the ogresses, you can do that also. So after you reach 43 magic, you can do the telegrabbing money-making methods. And I'm going to show you telegrabbing nature runes in the wilderness, and telegrabbing Wines of Zamorak in the wilderness, and telegrabbing the normal Wines of Zamorak in no wilderness. And then also, probably my favorite, at 55 magic you can start high alching, and I'm going to show how to make profit with that in free-to-play. So first I did the telegrabbing the nature runes, and I must tell you that this method is pretty bad. So the nature runes respawn in around 1 minute and 40 seconds. So doing this in one world and waiting for them to respawn is going to make you around 34.2k GP per hour, which is around the same as you would get doing the ogresses with fire strike, but the XP is going to be a lot lower and you can actually get killed here pretty easily because it's multi-combat. And as you can see, there was actually someone trying to kill me and I was here like 5 minutes. But if you're going to do world hopping, in 1 hour you can actually get around 162,000 GP per hour and for this you need to be really efficient to be able to do this. And I also calculated if you're going to spend 3 hours here without banking, you should be getting 179,000 GP per hour if you're really efficient. And I tried to take into account the logout limit here, so that will slow you down a lot. So if you're going to be realistic about it, I think you're going to make around 100 to 120k GP per hour profit, which is not bad at all, but considering the risk and the reward, I think it's not worth it. Just do something else. But anyway, next up is the Wilderness Wines of Zamorak. So the Wines of Zamorak in Wilderness are at the Chaos Temple. They respawn in around 25 seconds, so it's not too bad to do it in one world, but world hopping in like 3 worlds is a lot better. And I was doing these wilderness methods during the weekend, so it was really bad. There were so many PKers, so at least during the weekends, just don't do it. I think it's not worth it. And I actually tried to do a second trip of these, and there was like PKers in every world, so not very nice method to do. So I calculated how long the trips would take if you were not interrupted. So one trip would take you around 9.5 minutes and I was calculating around 6 trips an hour, so that leaves you a little bit room for mistakes. So 26 wines of Zamorak times 6 is 156 wines in an hour, and they're around 2.9k GP each at the moment, so around 450,000 GP in 1 hour. And for the supplies, you're going to spend around 30,000 GP if you're going to use wines for food, and then you're going to use around 5 or 6 energy potions per trip, and I think you really should use these to speed up the trips. So the total profit, if you're not getting PK'd at all and you can do at least 2 worlds, telegrabbing in 2 worlds by yourself, you should be looking at over 400,000 GP per hour, which is pretty insane for free to play, and you should be making a bond in less than 10 hours. So next up is the normal Wines of Zamorak. So these were updated last week. So they updated it so that in the bottom floor you can telegrab the wine, but all of the Zamoraks downstairs will attack you. So if you're low level, it can be very frustrating, and also a very bad thing is that they actually lower your magic level. So if you're very close to 34 magic, you cannot do this more than 1 time. So one thing that you could try if you really want to, you can use the Wizard's Mind Bomb. That will boost your magic level by 2 if you're under 50 magic, and by 3 if you're over 50 magic. So that could be a nice thing to do. And then a lot better method is if you have 500 total level and you have the Zamorak robes, you can go to the upstairs and there you can telegrab the wines very easily and no interruptions. And if you actually kill the monk of Zamorak in the upstairs, you can pick up the wine without doing telegrabbing. So that's what I saw some people doing. And I was doing this like just a day or 2 after the update came, so it was really packed and there was some bots probably and just regular people doing a lot also. And I actually saw this interesting method that the bots were doing. So the bots were doing, or somebody else was doing it, that they would get all of them aggressive on you and then they would jump over the wilderness ditch, and then the monks of Zamorak won't attack you if you try to grab the Wine of Zamorak. So that is a very interesting thing to do, but for that you actually need a second account that will keep the aggro on the monks of Zamorak. But I think that's very viable, and I think you can do it even on a level 3 account, so I think it's something that you should consider if you're a lower level person. But even though it was very packed, on average I was able to get 72 wines per hour, which is 194k GP per hour profit. So it was pretty good. But keep in mind that I have over 500 total level, and if you have 500 total level, you can telegrab the downstairs Wine of Zamorak, and then you can go upstairs to avoid the damage, and after you go downstairs they're not aggressive anymore. But even if you do this, they will still lower your magic level, and after a while you cannot do this anymore. So it's a very, very tricky method, but if you can do the telegrabbing in the upstairs or have someone else taking the aggressive monks of Zamorak off to the wilderness ditch, then you're good to go. And I think if you have the world to yourself, or even 2 worlds, you can probably make the same 400,000 GP an hour, but that's very unlikely. So the last money making method, it requires a little bit cash. I did it with 100,000 GP and I had 330 nature runes also, so around 160,000 GP was the starting cash stack. So then you're just going to buy something like green dragonhide bodies or rune items or something, and then you're going to cast high alchemy on them. And before you buy the item, you should check if it's profit at the price that it's being sold off at the moment. And here I have listed the high alchemy prices of most of the rune items in free to play. There's also a adamant plate body, green d'hide body, amulet of defense, which doesn't have a trade limit as far as I know, and then there's adamant kite shield and mithril plate body. But there are actually a lot more of these if you just check them. But most of the rune items should make you around 200 GP profit per item, and rune items have a trade limit or buy limit in the GE of 70 pieces. So that's why I have listed so many of them, and all the other armor pieces have trade limit of 125, and also the green dragonhide bodies have trade limit of 125. So something to consider is that you might want to buy the green d'hide bodies if you have a lot of cash during the night, so you can get a little bit of them during the night and then alch them when you log in. So doing the 124 dragonhide bodies took me 7 minutes and 40 seconds, and in that time I profited around 17,000 GP, so that translates into 133,000 GP per hour profit. And if you're going to do the rune items, and if you have more cash than the 100,000 GP, I think you can even make over 200,000 GP per hour. So I think this is a very nice method, and it's also quite funny to do, I think. At least this little while was very nice for me. And I was getting over 63,000 XP per hour, which is very nice for free to play, and something to consider if you want to get your mage up in free to play. Anyway guys, that's all for this video. If you're still watching at this point, please leave a like and comment down below what you thought about this video. And as always, have a great day. MrGrauman out.